Welcome to the Health Headliner podcast by Tudu Digital. Our content is informational only and not medical advice. Please consult your provider. Now, let's dive into today's headlines.
Ever feel like some people just age differently? You know, like you see someone and you're like, wow, they look so much younger than they actually are.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Like they found some secret fountain of youth or something.
Totally. Well, it turns out there's actually some real science behind this. It's called biological age.
Right. And today we are diving deep into a super interesting study from Osaka University about this.
Yeah, they're using artificial intelligence to figure out someone's biological age from just a few drops of blood.
It's pretty wild stuff. The study was published in Science Advances. It really changes how we think about aging.
So we've got the research notes and the actual study right here, ready to go. Let's break it all down.
Okay, sounds good.
So, first of all, what is biological age exactly?
Well, it's basically how old your body really is on the inside, not just how many years you've been alive.
Oh, I see. So, like, two people could be the same age, but one person's body could be aging faster than the other.
Precisely. That's the key difference between biological age and what we call chronological age, the one on your driver's license.
So someone's biological age could be younger or older than their chronological age.
Exactly. It all depends on various factors, your genetics, your lifestyle, environmental factors, things like that.
Wow, that's so interesting. So this study from Osaka University, they're using AI to measure biological age. But how?
They built this really cool AI model that analyzes the balance of steroid hormones in your blood.
Steroid hormones. So like testosterone and estrogen, those are the ones I've heard of.
Yes, those are definitely part of the picture. But there's actually a whole bunch of different steroid hormones in our bodies, and they all play different roles in keeping things running smoothly.
So instead of just looking at our birth date, this model is looking at these chemical messengers in our blood. I mean, it makes sense. Hormones control so many things in our bodies.
Absolutely. They really do. They affect things like our metabolism, immune response, even how we deal with stress. And the thing is, as we age, the balance of these hormones can change.
Oh, okay. So by looking at these hormonal changes, this AI model can kind of figure out how well our body's aging.
Exactly. It's like piecing together a puzzle. Each hormone provides a clue, and the AI puts those clues together to get a complete picture of our biological age.
Gotcha. But haven't scientists been studying biological age for a while now?
They have. But what makes this study unique is the way they're using AI to really dive deep into the interactions between all these different steroid hormones.
So they're not just looking at the amount of each hormone, but how they all work together.
Exactly. And that's where the power of artificial intelligence really shines.
Why is that? Why is looking at how the hormones interact so important?
Well, past methods often focused on simpler markers of aging, things like DNA methylation or protein levels. But those methods didn't really capture the complexity of how hormones interact to influence aging.
Okay, I'm starting to get it. So this AI can see the bigger picture.
Right. And it's the first time that researchers have been able to do this. This kind of detailed analysis just wasn't possible before.
Okay, so how did they actually build this AI?
Well, they created what's called a deep neural network. It's a super powerful type of AI that's really good at finding patterns in complex data.
Deep neural network, huh? Sounds intense.
Yeah, it's pretty advanced stuff. But basically, they trained this neural network on blood samples from hundreds of people.
And what did they find?
Well, they found all sorts of interesting patterns in how these steroid hormones are linked to aging. One of the biggest findings was a link between cortisol and accelerated aging.
Cortisol, that's the stress hormone, right?
Yep, that's the one. They found that when cortisol levels double, biological age increased by 1.5 times.
Whoa, wait a minute. So chronic stress actually ages us faster. I always thought that was just an old wives' tale.
Well, turns out there's some truth to it. One of the researchers, Professor Toshifumi Takao, actually said this in the study. Stress is often discussed in general terms, but our findings provide concrete evidence that it has a measurable impact on biological aging.
Wow. Stress isn't just bad for our mental health, it's bad for our bodies too.
It definitely seems that way, and this study really hammers that point home.
So this AI model could have some pretty big implications for how we think about health and aging.
Yeah, for sure. It's really exciting.
So how do they actually test this AI model? Like, how do they know it actually works?
They took blood samples from a new group of people they hadn't studied before, people whose ages and blood details weren't in the AI's training data, and they had the AI analyze those samples.
Oh, okay. So kind of like a blind taste test for the AI.
Exactly.
Yep.
And it did a really good job at accurately predicting the biological age of these new people.
Wow, that's super impressive. So it really does seem like this AI can read our hormones and tell us something about how well our body is aging.
It really does. And the researchers are already working on ways to refine the model and expand the data set.
That's cool, so they're making it even better.
Yeah, they're working on it.
But what exactly did they do in this study? I'm a little fuzzy on the details.
Sure. So they started by recruiting hundreds of healthy people of all different ages.
Okay, makes sense.
And from each person, they took just 5 drops of blood.
Wow, just 5 drops.
That's all it took. And with that, they were able to measure the levels of 22 key steroid hormones.
22 different hormones.
Wow. And then they fed all this data into their deep neural network.
Right, to train it.
Yep. They were teaching it to spot those patterns and connections between the hormones and the person's real age.
So basically, they taught the AI what a youthful hormonal profile looks like compared to one that suggests faster aging.
That's a great way to put it.
Okay, cool. And then how did they know it was accurate?
They validated it by testing it on a separate group, like I said, a group that the AI had never seen before.
Got it.
And it works really well. It was able to accurately predict those new people's biological age just from their steroid profiles.
That's so wild. They basically gave the AI a blind taste test, and it passed with flying colors.
You could say that. It really shows the power of AI, like what we can do with it to really unlock the secrets of aging.
And hopefully help us age better.
Exactly. So this has been really fascinating, but why should our listeners care? What's the big takeaway here?
Yeah, good question. What does all this mean for them?
This study really gives us a powerful new tool, one that we can use to understand aging in a whole new way,
Okay. Yeah,
and hopefully can help us take more control of our health as we get older.
I like that. Taking control.
Right. It's a whole new way of thinking about aging, not just as a number, but as a process we can actually influence. Like they've given us a map to navigate the aging process more effectively.
Okay, I like that analogy. A map for aging. So what do we find on this map? What are some things we can learn from this study?
Well, for one thing, it shows just how important managing stress is.
Right, because of that cortisol connection.
Exactly. We've always known that stress is bad for us, but this study shows that high cortisol levels can speed up aging on a cellular level.
So it's not just about feeling better in the moment. It could actually help us live longer.
Exactly. It's about potentially adding years to our lives.
Yeah.
And that's just one part of it. This study also revealed a fascinating trend about how biological age differences change over time. They found that these differences in biological age between people, they actually tend to widen as we get older.
Oh, interesting. So like we start out pretty similar.
Yeah, it's like a river. It starts out narrow, but then it gets wider as it flows downstream. Early on in life, our biological ages are pretty close together. But as we age, all those different factors we talked about, genetics, lifestyle, our environment, they all start to have a bigger impact.
So we kind of diverge as we get older. Our biological age becomes more unique.
Exactly. And that's a big reason why this study's emphasis on personalized assessment is so important. It's not enough to just look at general trends anymore.
Right. Everyone ages differently.
Exactly. We need tools and strategies that take into account each person's individual situation.
So knowing your biological age is really just the first step.
Right. It's about understanding what that number means for you and what you can do to potentially slow down the aging process.
This study also went a bit further. They looked at the impact of smoking on those biological age predictions, right?
They did, and they found some interesting differences between men and women. They noted some limitations in their data on lifestyle factors, but they did see a noticeable difference in male smokers.
Oh, what did they see?
It seems that smoking might speed up biological aging, but more so in men.
So men who smoke could be aging faster biologically compared to guys who don't.
That's what their findings suggest, though, of course, we need more research to confirm that, especially studies with larger and more diverse groups of people.
And they measured this difference in a pretty interesting way, didn't they? Something about an angular difference.
Yes, they use this measurement, represented by the Greek letter phi. It's a way to quantify the difference between predicted biological age and the actual chronological age.
Okay, and what does that tell us?
It shows how different factors, like smoking, might change that relationship. It's a clever way to see how fast someone is aging compared to what you'd expect based on their birth date.
So it's not just about being biologically older or younger, it's about how quickly you're aging compared to your chronological age.
Exactly. And understanding those individual differences is super important when it comes to personalized approaches to health and aging.
Makes sense. Now, this study was really focused on steroid hormones, but they mentioned other factors that influence biological age too, right?
Of course. They emphasize that hormones are just one piece of the puzzle. Lots of other things contribute to how fast we age.
Like what?
Well, your genes obviously play a big role. And then there's your diet, whether you exercise, how well you sleep, even your social connections. All of those things can influence your biological age.
Wow, so it's really a complex mix of factors.
It really is.
Okay, so we've talked a lot about this artificial intelligence model and how it can predict biological age. But can we really trust a computer to tell us how old our bodies are?
It's a good question. I mean, it sounds kind of futuristic, right?
Yeah, a little bit.
But the researchers did a lot of work to validate their model. They tested it on a completely separate set of blood samples, and it was really good at predicting biological age. Like, surprisingly accurate.
So it's not just a gimmick. The artificial intelligence is really learning those telltale signs in our steroid profiles.
Yep, exactly. And it's only getting better.
But I'm guessing there are still some limits to how accurate it can be, right?
Of course. Biological systems are unbelievably complex. There's always a degree of uncertainty. And the researchers acknowledge that their model is still under development.
So we shouldn't necessarily take those predictions as the absolute truth.
Right. But the potential is definitely there.
Okay, so we shouldn't all rush out and get our steroid levels tested just yet.
Maybe not quite yet. The technology is still pretty new. More research is needed before it's ready for prime time.
Okay, fair enough. Now, let's switch gears a bit. This study used some really cool data analysis techniques. They talked about cumulative distribution function-based proportional scaling. Can you explain what that means?
Wow, that's a mouthful, isn't it?
It is.
It sounds complicated, but it's basically a way to make sure they were comparing apples to apples.
Okay.
Steroid levels can vary a lot from person to person,
Ah.
and even within the same person over time. So they needed a way to take that natural variation into account.
So it's like adjusting the measurements to make them more meaningful.
Exactly. And they found that this scaling method really improved the accuracy of their AI model.
So it's not just about the AI itself, it's also about how you prepare the data.
Exactly. The quality of the data is just as important as the sophistication of the AI model.
It's like with cooking, right? You need good ingredients to make a good meal.
That's a great analogy. You can have the fanciest kitchen gadgets in the world, but if your ingredients are bad, the food's going to be bad.
Exactly. So this study is a reminder that good data analysis is key to good science.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
So this has been a really dense study, but I think we're starting to understand the main points.
Yeah, we're getting there.
We've got this incredible AI model that can predict biological age from our steroid hormones, and it's opening up a whole new world of possibilities for how we think about health and aging.
And remember, it's not just about living longer. It's about living healthier for longer.
That's what it's all about, quality of life. So this AI model is really cool and all, but it sounds super futuristic. Like, is this something that people can actually use right now?
Well, not exactly. It's still in the early stages. But the potential is huge. Imagine a future where you could just give a tiny blood sample and get a personalized report on your biological age.
Oh, wow. Like a snapshot of how well your body's aging.
Exactly. And more than that, it could tell you what areas you might need to focus on to improve your health trajectory.
That would be amazing. So it's like personalized medicine based on your biological age, not just your chronological age.
That's the idea. And that's why this research is so exciting. It could really revolutionize the way we approach healthcare.
But even though this technology isn't quite ready for prime time, there are still things we can do right now, right?
Absolutely. We don't have to just sit around and wait for the future to arrive.
So what can our listeners do today to kind of take control of their aging process?
Well, a big one is managing stress. That cortisol connection is no joke. We know that high cortisol levels can accelerate aging. So finding healthy ways to manage stress is crucial.
Yeah, it's not just about feeling better in the moment, it's about protecting our long-term health.
Exactly. And the good news is there are tons of things people can do to manage stress. Exercise, spending time in nature, meditation, mindfulness. There's something out there for everyone.
It's like having a toolbox full of stress-busting tools. You just have to find the ones that work for you.
I love that analogy. And the more tools you have in your toolbox, the better equipped you'll be to handle whatever life throws your way.
So true. And it sounds like this research is a big reminder that we have more control over our aging process than we might think.
I absolutely agree. It's not about being fatalistic. It's about understanding that we have agency. We can make choices today that could have a huge impact on our health and well-being down the road.
That's a really empowering message. We're not just passive bystanders in the aging process. We can actually steer the ship, so to
Yeah.
speak.
Love that. We're the captains of our own aging journey.
So well said. Any other final thoughts you'd like to leave our listeners with?
I think the most important thing is to stay curious. Don't be afraid to ask questions, seek out new information, and stay informed about the latest discoveries in aging research. Knowledge really is power, especially when it comes to our health.
I couldn't agree more. So there you have it, folks. A deep dive into the fascinating world of biological age and steroid hormones. We've learned about this incredible AI model that can predict how well our bodies are aging, and we've explored some practical steps we can take today to potentially slow down the aging process.
And who knows what the future holds? This field is constantly evolving, so stay tuned for more exciting discoveries.
We'll definitely be keeping an eye out for them. Until next time, stay curious and keep exploring.
Thanks for tuning in to the Health Headliner podcast by To Digital. Like and subscribe for more health news and breakthroughs. Stay healthy and informed. See you next time.